Hello again and welcome. These are R24 News and I'm Abdurrahim Kasho and these are the top headlines. A powerful earthquake struck a rural mountainous region of eastern Afghanistan, killing more than 1,000 people and injuring 1,500 more in one of the deadliest quakes in decades. Myanmar's ousted pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been moved from house arrest to solitary confinement in a prison in the capital. Thousands flooded the Ecuadorian capital Quito for a 10th day of demonstration over living costs and another chanceless standoff between the government and the indigenous protesters that has left 2 dead. President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, arrived Thursday in Iran, where he begins a walk-in and check-up visit, during which he inaugurated and laid the first stone of several projects in different sectors. Hello again and welcome. Those were today's top stories. Starting from Asia, hundreds of people killed and thousands of houses destroyed in magnitude 5.9 earthquake that struck southeastern Afghanistan overnight Tuesday and Wednesday. Hussein Burkan has more to tell.
Nearly 2,000 homes have been destroyed by the powerful quake that hit remote region of Afghanistan, where a lack of cleaning machinery is slowing relief operations. UN humanitarian coordinator Ramiz Alakbarov estimates the emergency aid needed at least $15 million after the powerful earthquake that hit Afghanistan overnight, killing at least 1,000 people and 1,500 wounded.
Estimates we're talking of what has been seen, probably at least $15 million will be required immediately to respond to multi-sectoral needs. We're concerned about not just non-food items and getting people into shelters and providing medical supplies, but also preventing waterborne diseases.
Survivors treated at a hospital in Sharan shared their testimony of the deadliest earthquake to hit Afghanistan in more than 2 decades.
In my family, 7 members in one room, 5 in the other room, 4 in another, and 3 in another were killed. I can no longer speak. My heart is weak.
In turn, Afghan Minister Sharafuddin Muslim called the international community for help, affirming that his country cannot manage this incident alone.
We call on the international community to help, because our country alone cannot handle this incident. We want the international community to start working with us at this time and to continue their cooperation.
The Afghan government fears that the balance sheet will increase further over the relief operations, long limited in number and capacity. The emergency services in Afghanistan are ill-suited to deal with a major natural disaster on their own.
In the same line of thought, Algeria expressed its brotherly solidarity with Afghanistan following the devastating earthquake that struck the east of the country, causing terrible human and material losses. Algeria offered, in a statement issued by its Ministry of Foreign Affairs, its sincere condolences to the families of the victims, expressing its wishes for speedy recovery for the injured. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, began Thursday in Iran a walk-in and inception visit, during which he inaugurated and laid the foundation stone for several projects in different sectors, including municipal structures and facilities to host Mediterranean Games. The President of the Republic, accompanied by a large ministerial delegation, will inaugurate the Mediterranean Village with a capacity of 4,500 baths for athletes and their companions, as well as other facilities like a hospital for burn victims with a capacity of 120 beds. Joining the University Hospital establishment 1 November 1954 in the Daira of Bir Algier. Upon his arrival at the international airport, Ahmed Ben Bella, the president of the republic, was welcomed by the local civil and military authorities. After listening to the national anthem, he went through a detachment of People's National Army that paid him the honors. Four AMP Air Force fighters just flew over Iran International Airport to greet the President of the Republic upon his arrival in the country's western capital before he got on a helicopter. He will then proceed to the inauguration of the new terminal of the International Airport Ahmed Ben Bella in the municipality of Asinia before inaugurating the five-star hotel of the chain Azad in the district of Al-Barki in Iran. Four days prior to the official kickoff of the Mediterranean Games hosted in Algeria, the opening and the closure ceremony, President and the orchestra conductor Salim Dada held a press conference at the Plaza Hotel in Iran. During the same press briefing, the Commission President tackled the details concerning the cultural agenda. The opening ceremony, as stated, includes music, choreography, and a scenario that will be directed by the famous Algerian movie director Jafar Kassim.
Concerning the cultural activities, as you know, we have given our own imagination of the cultural agenda. It's going to be about the Algerian culture with all its diversities, including patrimony, history, and prehistory to all the cultural interpretations.
To a different matter now, Algeria affirms its support for the Sahrawi and Palestinian causes. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ramtan Lamamri, held talks on Wednesday with the Sahrawi Minister of Foreign, Mohammed Salim Ould Salek, as well as Palestinian Minister of Social Development, Ahmed Majdalani. The parties discussed the developments in the regions and efforts to resume international track.
We gotta have a new opportunity to analyze the situation in the region, especially regarding the Sahrawi cause. We believe it's about time the occupation ended. The forcible land acquisition and the confiscation of people's right to self-determination does not make peace possible. Peace depends on adhering to international law and respecting border.
President Abdelmajid Tebboune announced an important initiative for us, which is an attempt to unite the Palestinians. He also signed a team to conduct dialogue with the various Palestinian factions, and the first phase of the dialogue passed successfully.
Staying in Africa, the call of the leader of the Senegalese opposition, Dakar residents, went out to bang on saucepans and honk their horns in order to protest against President Macky Sall and the context of rising tensions as the legislative elections approach.
This is a clear message for Macky Sall and those who support him, that is to say, the foreign powers. We have simply responded to Ousmane Sonoko's call to express our dissatisfaction today against the regime of Macky Sall. For a very long time, France has asphyxiated us with the complicity of our leaders to exploit our resources. Now, Ousmane Sonko has come to reverse the trend by establishing a new policy based exclusively on Africanity.
The last chapter of a report of a thorough judicial inquiry into corruption has been sent to South African President Cyril Ramaphosa by Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. The prior parts of the investigation have shown the widespread corruption in the government and the state-owned businesses from 2009 to 2018 under the former President Jacob Zuma.
also have chapters that deal with money flows and how money that was obtained through state capture. We deal also with the evidence of the president as president of the country and president of the ANC. We deal with the evidence relating to the ANC.
The coffin of slain Congolese independence hero Patrick Lumumba returned to his home on Wednesday for an emotionally charged tour and burial. More than 6 decades after his assassination, a plane took Lumumba's mortal remains, a truth that ex-colonial power Belgium handed over to his family on Monday from Brussels to Kinshasa for a 9-day trip around the Democratic Republic of Congo. To the Middle East now, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomes Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the presidential complex in Ankara, marking the beginning of a rapprochement between the two nations after years of disagreement. Islam Seed.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman made a work visit to Ankara, a first by the Saudi Crown Prince, making a shift in relation between the two countries since Khashoggi's killing inside the kingdom's Istanbul consulate in 2018. Prince received a warm welcome from his Turkish counterpart, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The two leaders discussed means and ways to enhance bilateral relations and advance investments in various sectors of endeavor. The visit is expected to bring a full normalization and restoration of the pre-crisis period, after Turkey stopped all criticism and halted its murder trial in April, transferring the case to Riyadh in a move condemned by human rights groups and Ms. Cengiz. In a tweet, she condemned the decision to welcome Prince Mohammed to Turkey and vowed to continue her fight for justice. Prince Mohammed aims at ending his international isolation and restore his powerful regional role. On the other hand, Erdogan seeks financial support that could help relieve Turkey's economy and attempts to refresh investments in the wealthy Middle East states ahead of Turkish-type presidential election.
Staying in Asia, scientists claim that unprecedented floods in Bangladesh and northeastern India are due to the climate change and the share of early rain this year just a few weeks ago. The floods in the two Asian countries caused big damages by turning people's lives into miserable, which pushed hundreds to flee their homes and others left dead.
The monsoons didn't get to arrive. And some of the estimates shows that we have already received more than 100% of the season's rainfall just in a couple of days that we have in June itself.
Thousands of indigenous protesters took to the streets in Ecuador's capital, Quito, on Wednesday to demand that President Guillermo Lasso address price hikes that have ignited 10 days of demonstration across the country. Zara Furjani.
Thousands of indigenous people continued pressure on the Ecuadorian government in the streets of Quito for the 10th consecutive day of protests that left 2 dead and dozens injured in an increasingly tense standoff between the government and protesters.
The national government must recognize that it already had blood on its hands. What happened here in Guadalpamba and what happened in Pastaza cannot blame this on our leaders.
The indigenous chief, Leonidas Isa, demanded amongst different issues that the federal government get rid of the state of emergency, but the government stated it may not hand them their demands.
Honest dialogue is unconditional. Mr. Isa, we have urgent national problems to solve and violence is not the solution. Not like that.
The capital has been partly paralyzed since Monday by around 10,000 indigenous demonstrators from across the country, who take to the streets daily to protest against the cost of living and demand more social assistance in a context of growing economic difficulties.
We are angry. We are going out to fight for our rights, and we will be there until the end, until the government takes care of us, because the poor in the countryside suffered the most.
Our products are worth nothing, while the products they bring in from elsewhere cost too much. Expensive, their oil, while our products, such as bananas that we can harvest, cassava, potatoes, among others, cost nothing.
The Ecuadorian capital is experiencing meals and gasoline shortages, demanding a fuel price cut, a halt to expand in oil and mining, and more time for farmer loan repayments. Indigenous group Qanat is firm not to stop the protests until their demands are met.
The junta's plans to execute political opponents may amount to war crimes or crimes against humanity. A UN official said Myanmar's military rulers have, without explanation, ordered all legal proceedings against deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi to be moved from a courtroom to prison.
The longer we wait, the more inaction that there is. The more people are going to die, the more people are going to suffer. And the people of Myanmar just can't take another year of inaction. And the foreign minister of Malaysia is, I think, taking very practical, pragmatic steps forward. That if ASEAN leaders listen to what he has to say, look at his very specific practical recommendations, I think we can move forward.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping set the tone for a virtual summit with leaders from major emerging economies in a pointed speech Wednesday evening, in which he described sanctions as weaponizing the global economy and urged unity in the face of financial challenges. Xi Jinping portrayed the world as being at critical juncture as it struggled to recover from the pandemic. Amid what he termed new security challenges, the commands appeared to be a veiled reference to the United States and NATO, whom Beijing has repeatedly blamed for provoking Russia's aggression in Ukraine.
It has been proven time and again that sanctions are a boomerang and a double-edged sword. The politicization, instrumentalization, and arming of the world economy, as well as the deliberate implementation of sanctions, taking advantage of its dominant status in the international financial and monetary systems, can only harm one's own interests and the interests of others, and inflict suffering on people all over the world.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with his Iranian counterpart on Thursday as world powers and Tehran are struggling to revive the 2015 nuclear pact and negotiations are stalled. During a press conference, the two parties emphasized the necessity of diplomacy to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. Lavrov stated that the current food crisis is not connected between the military operation in Ukraine, highlighting that this statement is recognized by both the United States and members of international organizations.
And we once again confirmed to our Iranian friends that we will fully support their position about the revival of Iran's 2015 nuclear deal, with no exceptions and unacceptable additions. This implies cancellation of all the illegal sanctions.
According to Ukrainian President and the spokesperson for the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Russia has intensified its attacks and airstrikes, killing in the Kharkiv region, the second largest city in Ukraine, killing at least 20 people and destroying many buildings. Russian soldiers are vigorously advancing over Kharkiv, Sloviansk and Severodonetsk, according to Ukrainian military on Saturday.
Now the Russian army is trying to gather forces to attack Kharkiv again. We have deoccupied this region and they want to do it again, and we see it. And there are 1.5 million inhabitants. Mykolaiv is constantly being bombed, with almost 500,000 inhabitants.
The enemy carried out artillery shelling in the areas of the settlement of Dominitivka, Pechenice, and the surrounding of the Kharkiv direction.
Following Lithuania's decision to restrict some rail shipments to the Russian province of Kaliningrad as part of the EU sanctions against Kremlin, there are now increased tensions between Moscow and the West. The Kremlin has methodically blustered its military forces in Kaliningrad, arming them with state-of-the-art weapons, including precision-guided Iceland missiles and an array of air defense systems. At the same time, the German government has warned Russia not to take countermeasures over the dispute of the freight traffic to the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad.
They have plenty of troops still who can come. They are not counting the lives that they are losing. They are not counting the artillery that they are losing there. So I don't think that we should underestimate them in the longer term to still keep this up all the time.
The German government activated the second phase of its three-state emergency plan for natural gas supplies on Thursday. According to German economy minister, the country faces a crisis and one that shortages targets for the winter were at risk due to dwindling deliveries from Russia.
We are today, now at this moment, declaring a gas alert. We have a gas supply disruption in Germany. That is how it is defined. Therefore, it is necessary to declare this alert level. Gas is a scarce commodity in Germany from now on. I say that although precisely because the security of supply in Germany is currently guaranteed.
The 2022 Mediterranean Games are an upcoming international multi-sport event scheduled due to take place in Iran, Algeria from June 25 to July 6, 2022. The Games will feature 3,390 athletes from all around the Mediterranean countries. Equestrianism will be one of the games. For more this report, let's follow Osama Ayadi this report.
The countdown has started before the opening of the Mediterranean Games that Iran is hosting starting from June 25th. The infrastructure of the Games has reached 100% of readiness to help welcome Algeria's guest delegations and athletes who come from different quarters of the Mediterranean.
We are ready, that's what I can say. The field is ready, the complex is ready for receiving the horses and the athletes, our Arab brothers and the foreign friends who are coming. So we can say that we are 100% ready.
Equestrianism infrastructure in Iran is ready to receive 10 national teams of different countries, including France and Portugal. The center is 4 acres wide with a field of 5,000 meters square, and it can receive up to 220 horses and equestrians. Full of motivation and hope, the Algerian national team of equestrianism is preparing for the approaching day of the competition.
We cannot say we are stressed, but we really hope to have high level in the competition as well as teams that are going to be hosted here, participated in the last Olympic Games.
My horse is Tariq Dam, who was born and raised in Algeria. It was trained here in Algeria too, and thank God it is well trained. We are going to participate in the next Mediterranean Games, and hopefully we will represent Algeria as a team and as a quality of horses.
Jazzy, Nelson and Tariq Dam and 2 other horses will be ridden by the Algerian selection, which is preparing with 5 knights that will hopefully honor the Algerian equestrianism national team with more medals in this 3-star contest.
That's all what we have for now. Thank you so much for being with us. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.